Hey there, everybody. Hope you're doing great. Wanted to reach out and talk to you about what's going on. So I'm going to kind of hit top questions people typically ask me. And of course, if you have any questions, would love to be able to answer any questions that you might have about life and pursuit of happiness. How's that? So one of the common questions people will ask me when it comes to networking is, number one is, how much networking do you think you have to do? And so I come from the perspective of, there's never a need to not be networking until everyone knows who you are. So I'm not Oprah, not Will Smith, not Michael Jordan. And so I need to introduce myself. Not everybody knows who I am in the community that I live in. Plus, I've just recently moved here to the Houston area, so I need to build out my network. I need to build out my reputation and who I am. And so a lot of times people will ask about social media, and ultimately, it's just awareness, right? It's reputation. It's allowing me to be able to share my story, because if I'm not sharing my own narrative, then who's going to share my story if it's not going to be me? And who's going to tell it the way that I want it to be told better than me, right? So this is what I'm doing. The other thing that I would say when it comes to networking, you don't have to be 100% extrovert. You don't have to go to every single event. You don't have to go to every single chamber event. What you need to identify is, where do you want to be in? So for me, because I am in business, then I do want to go to chamber events. I want to be able to network with other business owners and like-minded individuals who want to stay connected, who want to be connected. If let's say you are more focused on wanting to, let's say you're a veterinarian, then maybe going to those kinds of places might not be as useful as maybe going to the Humane Society, as going to, Petco, and maybe hosting out different events there. There's other ways for you to be able to get in front of who you want to be getting in front of. And so think of that as you're networking, is to be more laser focused, have a niche, have something that you're going after, versus the shotgun approach of hoping that you're going to eventually hit the target, eventually hit the mark, when there's too many people out there, too many businesses out there. You want to be very selective. Next is, what is a very common question is, how do you network, Sherm? What's your elevator speech? So number one, elevator speech. Are really in elevators that long? I don't think so. So take the quote-unquote elevator speech with a grain of salt. It's just, how would you introduce yourself so that way it doesn't sound like you want to sell everybody in the room to buy what you have to offer, whether it's a product or service. And think of it from the perspective of, what would someone who's not affiliated with you desire to want to continue to meet with you, continue to talk with you, have a conversation? What would that sound like? So for me, it's not about titles, it's not about company, it's what I'm doing. So I'm Sherman. I'm building the #1 insurance-based financial advisor team here in Houston. So that's the language. And you then can decide, what's that language going to look like from your perspective? What do you want it to be said of you? Or what do you want people to think of when they think of you? And so I go more from a vision perspective, because I'm looking at people that want to join my organization in a way that's meaningful and impactful. So that's really where I'm coming from. KT, what's up, buddy? How you doing? How's that next semester of college treating you? The other question that people will ask me when it comes to networking is basically kind of, how do you work the room? So number one is, I play to my strengths. I know who I am when it comes to engaging with others. And so I want to know more about your story. If I'm interested in you, so I'm more interested than interesting, I'm going to be able to connect with you. So if I'm interested, then that means I'm asking you questions. I'm actually professionally curious. I'm positively inquisitive about what's going on. Of course you're grinding, bro. KT, you're nothing but grinding. I respect that, bro. And then it's, when I'm hearing the story, I'm trying to see how I can help you get to where you want to go. So if you're a recent college grad, what do you want to be doing? If you're a business owner, who do you want to be seeing? If you're in business development, which is another word for sales, who do you want to be talking to? Who's an ideal candidate for you? If you're in marketing, what do you specifically do? Do you need to be connected with a videographer, a graphic designer? What are you really looking for? And so as I'm having conversations with people, when you're more interested than interesting, what you'll find is people are more apt to want to talk to you. And they will say that they've enjoyed the conversation that they had with you. It's really fascinating that people will think that you're interesting just when you've only asked about their life and what they're doing and what they're about. KD says, but yeah, it's important to find the story in people. Absolutely. I view people just like a book. Some people enjoy sitting down, reading a good book. I enjoy sitting down with people and asking them their story. It's the same kind of thought process, whether you're reading a biography or autobiography. In this scenario, I'm reading people, asking them, and actively listening. I'm not waiting to talk. I'm using 2 eyes, read their body language. I'm using my 2 ears to hear what they're saying, and then I decide to speak. In these mediums of social media, I think sometimes people think that you got to have a lot to say. Not at all. In the real world, what's happening is you want to be communicating. Crucial communication becomes where you and I have a conversation. It's where I'm sharing my story. I'm sharing what's important to me. At the same time, I'm listening about where you're coming from. I'm thinking about you from that context. And yes, KT, you're absolutely correct. It becomes very much of a power sharing opportunity where, if you remember the old, Lord of the Flies, where they have the conch, you're giving the other person the conch to speak, to share their story, and you're not making any assumptions on what they're saying. You're just listening in that listening mode, and that allows you to learn. When we speak, we say what we know. When we listen, we actually learn. The next question people will ask then is, when it comes to networking, is, hey, Sherm, so how do you stop the conversation? I don't want to get stuck just talking to one person. I understand about it. Number one is, remember, when it comes to networking, when it comes to connecting with other people, it's about quality of the conversation than the quantity. When you're able to connect with someone and really have a meaningful conversation, it doesn't matter if you met 20 people versus the one. The one could be exactly who you're looking for, or you could be exactly what they're looking for and helping them get to where they need to go. And so when we're able to focus on the quality of those conversations, remembering something unique about that individual, maybe something a little bit more specific that can help us get to where we want to go. And it's in that focus of the power of one that you're able to then have more meaningful conversations. Remember, you can always tell if someone's looking to talk to somebody else. So a lot of times people they see this in their personal life, right? They're at a dance, they're at a club, they're at a bar, and they're talking to a girl, and she keeps looking around. Even though she's talking to you, she keeps looking around. She's either looking for her girlfriends or looking for a different man to talk to, because you are no longer keeping her interest. And so it's the same way when it comes to networking. If you're there talking with someone, but your attention is somewhere else, then they're going to stop talking and engaging with you. Remember, when it comes to networking, it's not so much what you know, it's who you know. And networking is more so not who you know, but who knows you. It's about them thinking about you and your talents and your skills and your value to them. And that's really where it starts shifting, is the mindset isn't about, oh, how many people do I have on LinkedIn? How many people knows me? How many followers? How many likes? Garbage. How many people know that you can bring value to their life and is willing to be able to do something about it? Whether they tell that to someone else in their network, whether they decide to buy your book, or decide to listen to your podcast, or look at your vlog, or come onto your page, it's about them knowing what you can do and the value you can bring to the table. People see through the real and fake for sure. Absolutely. Especially when we're face to face, right? There's that common phrase, fake it till you make it. What I think that's meant to mean, though, is fake the confidence. Even though you don't feel confident because you've never done it before, that's okay. So every company started out as a beginner. Henry Ford, when he decided to make the Ford company, first it failed, and then he started his own company because he had all these different investors. But what happens is that he's trying to focus in on just being sustainable, being in business, adding value, helping people get the automobile to the everyday consumer. That was his mantra, that was his focus. That's where he came from. He didn't start up on the top of the hill in the automotive industry and transform the world like we know it is today, but he did. But it didn't start that way. It started with impact, it started with value, it started with one person at a time buying that vehicle. Let's see, KT says, none of that matters other than knowledge, because it's power. That's power for sure. So when it comes to knowledge, a lot of times it's the application of that knowledge. So KT, you and I both know what it takes in order to stay healthy. And so do a lot of people. A lot of the people that are obese and that are suffering with their health know that they need to be making different choices. They need to say no to that, third piece of cake. They need to say no to, drinking those things that aren't healthy for them, or smoking those things that aren't healthy for them. But although we have the knowledge, the lack of application makes us unwise. So all the knowledge in the world is of no value if we don't apply it, if we don't execute on it. All of us have the access to all the information in the world literally at our fingertips. If you have a smartphone, you have access to the internet, you literally have all the information that's needed in order for you to survive in life. The problem that most of us don't have is we do not have the ability to ask it the right questions. The numbers don't matter. That's why I met with followers. Absolutely. So it's powerful what KT is saying here when it comes to the engagement of individuals. You don't need to run up the tally of numbers of followers. You need to engage with that one person, and knowing that one person, that's what I think about from the knowledge standpoint, is knowing that one person can dramatically change your life. Think about, if any of you have the opportunity, if you have Netflix, to watch Street Food, they talk about all these different significant individuals that are making it happen when it comes to street food in a variety of countries. And a lot of their stories surround family, whether it was a daughter or son helping out a mother or father in the business, whether it's a husband or a wife that met the significant other and that dramatically changed their life. That's what you're looking for, is that one person that can dramatically change your life. You don't have to have that person, but when you meet that person, all of a sudden you become almost unstoppable. It becomes extremely powerful when you're able to connect with someone on a very intimate level, and you're able to, in a sense, find that muse, move to a life that you want to in a way that's meaningful and impactful. So that's a very common misconception that people think, is that they need all these thousands or millions of followers when you just need the one person that's following you, that's a marketing person at PepsiCo, and decides to use your marketing company even though you're a 2-person shop in North Dakota. All of a sudden you're getting the multi-million-dollar contract because you knew the right person, you spoke the right language, you connected with that individual in a way that was meaningful. KT says it's the little stories that create major impact. Absolutely it does. And every single person, every single moment that we have, not every single moment, but a lot of the moments that we think are impactful later in life, were actually really insignificant. They were really tiny. They were small. They were, the friends that we made. It was a nod. It was a handshake. It was a wave. That's what got us connected. And then all of a sudden, all the other things ensued. The different, outings and dates or gatherings, the get-togethers. That's what became really impactful. The next thing that people commonly will ask me when it comes to what they should be doing for their job, it's all about what you want to be doing. Don't think about what a talking head is saying that you should be doing. Think about who you are. I think a lot of times it's just as easy to think about what you want to be doing as much as importantly as what you don't want to be doing. So there's a lot of people out there that's like, yeah, I would never want to work with animals. I don't want to be a veterinarian. I don't want to work on animals. That gets rid of a huge area, right? You wouldn't want to work at a retail space then. Like, you wouldn't want to work at Petco or, the Humane Society or any animal shelters. It removes a lot of places that you don't want to be looking at when it comes to your career. What else does Kate say? I started like that on all my major platforms on social. Just wanted to meet everyone and connect, to get outside my comfort zone and just live intuitively, staying alert. And that's just smart. That's how you're wired, KT, is that you're a learner of people, and so you're following your natural inclination to be curious and a connector, and that's a strong suit. So when it comes to identifying what you want to be doing, I think people get stuck in like industry. What industry is trending right now? What should I be doing? Don't worry about that. What's the role that I should be playing? Don't worry about that. Start with what do you want to be doing as you visualize it, and then go and do it. Go work somewhere. So if, let's say, you're a good communicator, go have a go at sales. Maybe go work at the local dealership. Go work in business development at a local bank or credit union, and see how you like it. I met somebody that's in marketing that works for an IT company. She has no background in IT whatsoever, but is a marketer. and enjoys being able to market businesses. The business. Iron Edge is what it's called. And so what you're doing is you're identifying the different talents and tasks that you don't mind doing, the ones that you don't like doing, and the ones that you absolutely adore and love. And it's that passion that you start pursuing that will really enlighten you, and it'll bring out your best skills and your best talents as you're focusing in on that. However, if you're always contemplating, thinking that you have to make the best move, the right move, the perfect choice, then you might find yourself paused at perfection, procrastinating because you want the perfect setup. The perfect setup just doesn't exist. You have to create that. You have to pursue it. It's a pursuit of happiness. It's a pursuit of perfection that gets you even closer, instead of getting stuck and hung up on the need to be perfect or to find that perfect solution or perfect atmosphere. Adapting is a stealth skill set to. End of the day, change is only constant. Absolutely. Change is inevitable for each one of us. We should expect the unexpected. It will happen, and we must be ready for it. So those are some of the top 5 questions. Hope you're all doing well. If I can be of any value, please let me know. Feel free to DM me. Got my cell phone, 262-271-4411. You can hit me, of course, here on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. Growth mindset is greater than over perfection every day of the week. Absolutely. Action is what separates us from everybody else. All right, everybody. Have a fantastic day. Sherm's out.